but the swell is lingering in. It's pretty much dead high right about now. High tide slightly affecting the conditions, making it a bit slow and a bit bumpy. Still plenty of swell on offer and plenty of sets, but just being a little bit tricky to surf, a bit more lully, a bit hard to get those any type of steep faces. But the show goes on. And we've got Hiroto Ohara, Cam Richards, Gatchin Delahaye, and Matthias Hurdy. So really, really strong heat yet again. We talked about how stacked these heats are, but I mean, and we don't want to oversay it, but I tell you what, every time you see new 4 names come up, they've all got so much talent. It's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, Mateos, every time you say that name, you remember Mexico, right? That year Jerry did on the semi, I think, was on the semi-final? On the quarterfinal. To make to the semis, exactly. And yeah, Hiroto, he put on a performance, a huge performance on the first round, so I'm looking forward to see him surf again. Cam Richards coming out of a good result on the US Open. And Gatien, he's been around for a while now, and he's got some really good tricks on the back too.
Yeah, and this was Cam Richards. So the American just eyeing off, had a good win yesterday. Really calm, really sort of laid back kind of a guy. But we're in the booth here with Billy Kemper, and Billy Kemper was just saying just how much work he puts in, whether he's in Hawaii, he's always sneaking off for sneaky sessions, he's always putting his time at pipe and backdoor, but then he'll be out sunset when it's huge. So he's yeah, a bit of a real dark horse here. Gatson Delahaye, he's a big, tall, rangy fella, really stylish, both in and out of the water, and he's got an air game as well. So Gatson had a good year last year. He was one of those surfers with the pandemic. So again, I mean, the pandemic came at the wrong time for everybody, don't get me wrong, but in terms of his competitive results, he was just getting on a bit of a roll back in 2019, started 2020, so he's had to reset. But yeah, real talent from the Caribbean and from Guadeloupe, as is Charlie Martin. So a real little hotbed of talent, that little Guadeloupe. There's some great surfers coming out of there. Timothy Bissot, of course Gatien. We just saw Charlie Martin. So you know, for a tiny little speck in the Caribbean, it's produced some incredible surfers.
Yeah, I think Charlie was maybe a role model for them growing up. But yeah, a lot of good surfers come out of Guadeloupe, and they especially do U-jars to the left.
Yeah, they grow up in that. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been over there?
No, but I know there's like a windy left you can do proper airs.
Yeah, the most consistent wave on the island is that left. Yeah, I'll just have to get the name of it. But yeah, it's a left, little reef left, and it's got that air breeze that runs into it. And I remember when Gatson Delahaye first came over to Europe, he was probably 14 or 15. He was sponsored by Dano Billabong at the time, and Richard Marsh was helping out the junior program at the stage, and he was like, look, I remember Dog said to me, he said, check out this kid on these lefts. He'll just bangs rotations. He said he'd never seen such a young surfer with such a high completion rate. Because he's just grown up with it the whole time. So not so much of a help in these conditions here today, but yeah, he's got that in his life. He's got a big air game, and he's had some good results in Europe over the last couple of years, so he'll be dangerous.
And he's the type of competitor that is fearless. You can tell he's really like committed to himself. Like he doesn't fear anyone. He goes there. He puts like his best performance all the time. If he gets the chance, he's gonna win. You know, like he can be whenever, like whatever person can be in the heat, he'll give his best.
Yeah, and he back himself. And yeah, and he's had a bit of a change. I think early on in his career, he was less focused. I mean, as they all are when you're young, isn't it? It's hard to really knuckle down. Yeah, he's always up. Yeah, still he's up for a great time. Loves to have a real positive guy. But I think the last 2 or 3 years he decided that, you know what, this is serious. He got sponsored by Vissla. That was a big turning point for him, and he just really knuckled down. He got serious about his training, got serious about his career. Doesn't train with a coach, usually just does a lot of his own work, as you say, a real guy that thinks for himself and backs his own decisions. And yeah, on the back of all those sort of life changes, he had a really good couple of runs of results, and trying to maintain that and go all the way through potentially to the CT. Right now though, got a 4.33 and a 0.77. And Cam Richards, that first backhand attack ahead of him, 5.33. So pretty tight. I think all these heats on the high tide are going to be, I don't think any surfer is going to be able to run away with it, I wouldn't imagine. I think this type of conditions maybe condenses the the scoring potential and so makes it a lot closer. Would you agree? I mean, you can disagree with me from time to time.
Yeah, I disagree. No, I'm kidding. I agree. I think it's normal. Like, it's harder, less waves, and if on the low tide with a lot of waves was hard for all the surfers to get a backup, now it's even harder. So there's 22 minutes left, and Hiroto and Mateos they haven't catch a wave yet. So it's slow, and you have to keep busy so you don't get lost out there waiting for the perfect one. With this tide, there's no like perfect one, and yeah, you gotta build your house on what you got.
Exactly. Just saw Gatchin trying to play that. But right now, though, we've got a man who picked the eyes out of the lineup. Nat Young, super impressive performance. He's on the beach with Joanna Garnell.
Thanks, Ben. Congratulations. The conditions were really tricky out there. How was it?
It was definitely tricky. The tide was, I think, peak high just now, so it was slow and it was a bit bouncy, but I managed to get a couple, so I'm happy for sure.
How do you stay mentally steady for that?
I mean, surfing's crazy. You got to prepare for kind of anything, and I was pretty prepared for a slow heat right there, and I don't know, just kind of do whatever I can out there to get through, and I got 2 waves, so luckily made it.
And things get a little easier when one of the top surfers decides to leave the competition earlier?
I mean, yeah, if you can have 3 guys out there instead of 4, that's always nice. He obviously probably just didn't get the waves he was looking for, and it's frustrating for sure. It's tough to surf out there, and you can't really do much without the waves, so he was probably pretty frustrated.
Well, you certainly got the job done. Well done, and we'll see you in the next round.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah, thanks, Joanna, and thanks, Nat. I'll tell you what, that's what's called a straight bat in cricket terms, when you just hit a ball back nice and straight and soft, straight down the line. He handled that deftly. About Itzelo potentially leaving the water out of frustration. But you know what, Nat Young, as he said, he does his own game. His own game's been pretty strong for about a decade, so and he just seems to be in a good place right now. And yeah, really impressive performance from the Santa Cruz local. Meanwhile, from the other side of the coast, Cam Richards, it's an East Coaster. I think, better double check that. He's a great surfer, great Hawaii rep. He's just trying to really get his QS Challenger Series sort of grit on. He's a really, really smooth surfer, isn't he, Chico? And out the back, okay, wait for this. And that is a massive tail high reverse. And you talk about that Mexican air, and that's the type of stuff that Purdy can do. He's absolutely electric. I mean, we talk about some of the, young Brazilians coming through. And, well, we saw Zhao Chianca be really impressive as Gatien winds way on the inside. I mentioned Mateus Hurdy. I think he's right up there. I think he's probably the best kid of that sort of generation. And, yeah, he's showing what he can do at the highest level. Sort of nephew to Guilherme Hurdy, was a famous Brazilian goofy footer, one of the guys that was a long-standing surfer from the CT back in the 90s. That's his uncle. So the Hurdy family really, really well in. And what about this turn? Talk us through it, Chico.
Yeah, this was amazing. 1/3 wave, but huge air. Boom. Really inverted air, and he was able to make it. So yeah, only 1 air, but a really good air. So I'm quite excited to see where the score is going to go with only 1 air out the back. We haven't seen much air, so yeah, I'm excited to see where the judges go with that air. It was really technical and inverted, so yeah, good. Mateus might be stoked on that turn for sure.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they're obviously so hard to do because no one's been doing them. Conditions make it, almost taken airs out of the equation. You see Hiroto, though, just sticking that one. We saw Zeke Lau perform that big air just right on the rocks as a last-minute sort of buzzer beater. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have done that unless those circumstances were like that. So Itzelo pull off one yesterday, but apart from that, I can't really remember any big airs. So to do one is a really difficult thing to do, and yeah, I got the feeling that the judges might reward that accordingly because that is a very, very difficult manoeuvre to execute given the current conditions.
Do you know what I think Italo is thinking? I think he knows he's going to be pumping for the next week here in Portugal, and he wants to surf other waves and get clips done.
Well, it's potentially true. I mean, it'd be surprising if he would enter an event and not want to participate it, given his competition. You know how much he loves competition, but I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. Probably the only way we're ever going to understand it is if Italo comes out and do an Instagram post and explain what went down. But there's probably a myriad of potentially different reasons. We don't know. That's all conjecture. Point being, I know one fact: he ain't surfing in the next round. That's for sure, and that's a loss for his many fans. But we'll he didn't get through. End of. So we lost a few of the big names. Actually, lost Federico Moraes. We lost Italo. So these Challengers Series guys, the guys on the on the qualifying series, are showing that they've got what it takes to take out the biggest names.
Yeah, I think you said it right. Like, the level is so high that anyone trains so much to be here. And as Cooper said, the waves on the QS, on the Challenger Series, are not as good as on the CT normally. And yeah, these guys are surfing this all year, so they're ready to surf whatever. And sometimes when you compete on the CT, you get used to that quality that sometimes doesn't exist on the Challenger Series. So yeah, but Ribeira, we have some quality. So yeah, they're proving that they can beat the best in the best waves too.
Yeah, exactly. And that wave there, just Cam Richards, he absolutely destroyed that. Really good surfing. And the waves, there is potential out there. He had a 5.33. We've got Matthias, they're still working as judges on that last air, so he doesn't know what he got for that. But he looks like he's stomping that back foot, ready for another one potentially. Just does one of his forward rotators. He does those often in his sleep. Finishes off. His aerial repertoire is absolutely insane. Some of his clips, Francisco, that he's been posting over the last 18 months, it's simply mind-bending. He gets so much altitude, so much rotation. He's definitely one of the best aerials in the world.
Every time I see his clips, I just go like, just give him a wild card.
Yeah.
A full year wild card. Boom, big snap out the back. He gets another carve here. It's so easy to watch him surf.
It's good style, isn't he? He's got that real, does that, the back, so his backhand's in a real sort of unique position, so it's kind of instantly recognisable.
Yeah.
So I think there was a stage there with a lot of the surfers, and were getting coached so heavily, so young, that they were losing some of their style, their intricacies or their idiosyncrasies. Cam Richards surfed this really well, and I think probably John actually, who was in many ways a unorthodox surfer, the way he holds his body and the way he does his turns. It's not a traditional where at one stage people would try to coach that out of him, but he was so raw and so good that people worked out that you didn't have to. You could leave your own personal style and still improve your technique. And Mateus Hurdy just seems to have it all at the moment. And he got a 7-point ride for that single air, so the judges holding back. It was impressive but not crazy, and but for just one turn, it's a big score. Back to live action. So this is Gatchin De La Haye. Hasn't been able to find any sections as yet, and there's another one. So he'll be starting to get a little bit frustrated. Doesn't need a big score, but just needs to find a wave that's got a bit of potential.
Yeah, Mateus did a really good job on getting his backup score straight away. With 13 minutes to go, we've seen guys struggling to get that backup, and Mateus started off really well with that 7-point with the single air turn out the back. And now he has a backup already, so now he can sit on the outside and wait for the best one, or just don't leave the door open for anyone, because he can sit there with priority and just really go on the best one, the best wave that comes in right now,
Yep, and speaking of someone who's used to sitting out the back and waiting for the best ones, we've got Pete Mell. I think he's down there with the unwanted shapes. Pete, what's going on down there on the forecourt?
I had to make my way down here, of course, to the MEO Tourism Portugal Unwanted Shapes. This is one of the things that we've been working on for many years. Matter of fact, the first edition happened at the Championship Tour up in Peniche. We were talking about bringing awareness to plastic waste. This time, we're doing the COVID-19 edition, which means we're using COVID waste. And if you walk around anywhere on any beach, you know what we see? Masks, rubber gloves, COVID waste, the stuff we don't want in our oceans. So this is another COVID-19 edition of Unwanted Shapes. We have 8 boards built with COVID waste. They're beautiful, if you can believe it. You can see some of the masks are actually on the bottom of these things. They're all through it. So these shapers have been enlisted. There was an open call globally to have shapers around the world make these surfboards, and they are awesome. I'm pretty stoked at how they all turned out. They've had a year to put this together, and these boards are going to be ridden in an expression session coming on finals day, I believe, well, whenever we get the waves really good. But again, I've been part of this. The jury is here. We've got Christian Bradley as a shaper, Marcio Zubi from Sharp Eye, Chile, James Cheel, John Pizell, and Timmy Patterson. That's our jury. So again, this was all built. We decided to figure out who is going to make these boards. These 8 shapers got, you can come down right to this booth here and get to see the boards, touch them if you want.
Yeah.
So if you want to come on over here, check it out.
Okay, and I, speaking of one of those shapers actually that made the board, I had a brief chat to Miguel Blanco, who's one of the local rippers from around here. Pete, is it true that he's actually stuck his hand up and made one of these boards?
Yes, he did. He actually has a fish. I'm trying to think of which one, and I saw him carrying it around. Oh, here it is.
There you
Beautiful.
go.
This one, Miguel Blanco's model. Again, you can see these are all masks, different colored masks. He's got them all over the board. So this is the fish. One of the boards I might want to try and ride.
Okay, great news. Well, a great initiative, and thanks, Pete, for all your involvement and your help. And as you say, get down there and check it out. They're just they're works of art, but they're totally functional, and they're working really well. So yeah, get down and check it out, and hopefully, I can't wait to see those boards getting shredded by some of the world's best surfers. And not a whole action to report while that was going on. All the surfers now sort of sticking out in the lineup, just on the 10-minute mark. And the scores coming in. So you talked about that backup, and it's come in for Matteo. So yeah, how important to get that backup just after he got that score of the air. Just hold that thought. Hold that thought. It's Gatien. Wow, it's so fat in that section. You can see him getting a little frustrated. Doesn't need a big score. Just needs a section. And still being a little bit plagued by the high tide at the moment. But we see Kanoa Igarashi. Well, he's one of the stars of the show. He'll be coming up in the very next heat. We've got about 10 minutes to go on this one. We're going to go to a short commercial break and come back with more live action right after this. Might sort of reflect on some of the day's more dynamic performances. Who sort of caught your eye over the course of today? Francisco, anyone that really stands out? It's got the heart racing, the blood pumping, foot tapping, the hand clapping?
I think I was blown away with kind of everyone. I think everyone. Yeah. I really enjoy surfing in general. So when I see like even the ones that lost today, they surf really well. I think we've seen some people surfing really well. And yeah, I was blown away too with Vain Fierro.
Yes, yeah.
She surfs so well on her backside. And I was impressed with her because she's a goofy and she loves rides. So I was, impressed by...
I heard that as well. I was a bit like, she almost had to kick her out of the club. That's not the way we roll. You don't ever go riding. You only go ride if you're absolutely forced,
to go right.
Yeah,
exactly.
if you're forced into it by either competition format or...
Exactly.
Or, yeah, something, extreme. But, yeah, no, she's such a lovely sort of natural posse person, and yeah, she was absolutely ripping, a real star of the future. So yeah, I'll back that. I like that call. I'm happy with that with you there, Francisco. And, she's been ripping right now. A bit of live action ripping here. A big fade. Looks like it's a Japanese surfer, Hiroto Ohara. Real compact sort of style, really smooth. He's got a bit of a section here. He only needs a 3.3 to get in. That's a big layback, almost come unstuck, but managed to pull it through. Now he's just got the bumps. One of the first waves was seen with a steep wall on the inside. There's rocks down there. What's he going to do? He's going to just finish it off with a sort of roundhouse cutback and nice. So his fan club likes it. They're down on the beach. They're all stoked. The Japanese crew, super psyched. And he's back on his board and okay. That's good news. On the Zeke Lau Memorial Rocks down there. And been taken over today from the Orlando Hopkins conglomeration. Here he goes. So he's done really well in this, just to find this wave, hasn't he, Francisco?
Yeah, he gets really low on his bottom turn and he waits for the right section to pop up. Here, he gets in time there. A really quick layback jam. Here he gets another carve. And yeah, I love the way Hiroto surfs Ribera. He places himself so well on the wave. And he's got good rhythm. And the way he reads the wave is really good.
Yeah, because he could have played it safe there. Meanwhile, Cam Richards on his backhand just digs a little bit of a rail on the inside there, but comes around again. It's more of a squirt, more of the backhand style that we know. But that just kicks out, so Hiroto definitely getting the better of that exchange. Yeah, I think Hiroto, because he could have played it safe there, couldn't he? But he chose not to, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the safest he goes.
Yeah.
That's his safe game. I think Hiroto is a really technical surfer, and we've watched him before surf the Trestles event, do you remember? On the city, and he smashed it. So, yeah, Hiroto, he's got it all, and I love to see him surf open walls, and especially to the right. And
yep, and out the back, Gatton Del Hay. So he got one big turn out the back, which is usually pretty hard to do. Now he's just hoping that this wave is big enough to get through this deep water on the high tide. He's pumping and weaving. It's got that lump on it, you can see. Clicks it off the top though, so it does well to navigate that. And another big one. And he finished it off before the rocks. He couldn't really go absolute commit to that last turn because of how close those rocks are. But he did manage to complete it. So I think the scale of that wave might come down to that first turn out the back. Might get you to play that out. We haven't got the wave scores for Hiroto coming in, so Gatton doesn't even know what he needs really, but he went for it.
yeah, that turn was critical, was on the outside, and he managed really well to get around this section. Here, he's just weaving his way to get that last turn in, and I think he did a really good job here on this turn. Here, he gets like a quick snap there, and here I think he played it safe because of the rocks, because otherwise he would go for it a lot harder, I think.
Yeah, so he surfed it well. It's just all because he was sort of unaware of, I mean, as it stands, he needs a 4.88, but that will change quite substantially once Hiroto gets his second score. So he didn't really know what he needed, but I mean, there wasn't much more he really could have done. He hit the outside section. He went pretty critical, and then the 3 turns on the inside that he could do, he did. So he'll be relatively happy with that, but still not particularly sure whether he can get through. So scores still to come in. I think just got one for Hiroto, and that last wave for Gatchin was a 5.5, so that pushed him up into second, but Hiroto has still got that wave to come in, and we think that was quite a good one, maybe the best one, definitely his best wave, so he could jump up into second depending on that last score. As more sets approach, 2 minutes 47 on the clock. As we said, it's 10 minutes past the high tide, so the tide is officially going out, although it's still right at the highest level, 3.5 metres. So what's that in the old school? Probably 12 feet of water sitting on top of that reef. It's got to drain away over the course of the afternoon. That'll take its time as the moon's gravitational pull does its weaves its magic. But right now, he's got that man there, Cam Richards. He needs some big scores because the scores coming for Hiroto are 7.6, so a huge number for Hiroto. So he goes up into first. He looks pretty safe, and that means both him and Mateus have got a pretty substantial lead over the other 2 surfers, both Gatton and Cam Richards needing high 7s. And with 2 minutes on the clock, that's going to be a very difficult task indeed.
Well, funny fact is Hiroto yesterday Italo had an 8 and a 5, and he came back with a 7 and an 8 too. And today we have Mateus, who started off the 8 so well with a 7 and a 6-3, and he came back at him too with a 7-6 and a 5-8. So yeah, Hiroto has been putting up some big scores on the board lately.
Yeah, he really has. A couple of back-to-back performances. Still rifling on the inside, so staying busy. And he knows he's pretty much his work is done now with a minute to go. Another impressive performance. 2 heat wins. If you can sort of, keep logging those heat wins. I know 2 go through, but it's still important just to get yourself in that safety first zone. So you're never under a lot of stress or pressure, and he just looks calm. He looks well connected. He reads the wave well. So Hiroto, you're one of the 24 surfers left. One of the 24 surfers left, and once you're in that type of zone, you're eyeing off a finals day. As we see the Brazilian Hurdy, he's not done yet. Pink board flashing down, and knowing Mateus, if he's got there, whoa, man. But that looks a bit more sandy. I think he's done it right. So that wave went into the outside, but I think they're both just iced the cake. Hiroto and Mateus, really, really incredible surfing from both. Different stages of their career, but same result. Absolutely smashed that one out of the park. So great surfing. See Gattin and Crane are still, their event is over. They'll be looking already to getting some incredible waves around Portugal over the next few days, and then getting up to France. So a solid performance from both Hiroto Ohara and Mateus Hurdy. Some aerial progression, some dynamic surfing, and some big numbers dropped. So those guys can come in now as we move on through potentially to the next heat. I'll tell you what, we've got the round of 48. The aim of today was to get through the whole round today, so another 6 heats. So roughly 3 hours of incredible action. We're hoping that as the swell continues to pour in and the tide continues to drop, the conditions will improve. We're going to get some really incredible surfing done across the next couple of hours of surfing. Just see all those guys. Kanoa Igarashi will be out there now. One of his probably biggest rivals for this event was Italo. He's not in anymore, so another one would have been Fred Moraes. Well, he's not in anymore, so all of a sudden Kanoa sort of sticking out there on his own as one of the the high seeds, a world number 7, and has a house up there on the hill. Knows these waves absolutely inside out, so he'll be dangerous. We'll see if he can progress, and that's officially the start of the next heat. As you see, Kanoa Igarashi, Ian Gavea, Cole Hauschman and Eli Hanneman, plenty of firepower in that foursome, and we'll see how they progress. See Gatchin down there, going back to the Brains Trust.